welcome to Friday Focus. This is my last one before Christmas, so I'm going to have me a little break and then I'll be back in January. And so today I really just wanted to talk to you about the anticipation of events and how our thoughts really create our experience of it. So I've just had quite an interesting thing. I've just got back from having my flu vaccine at the doctor's, and I never like the thought of having injections, never ever. And so I was sat in the waiting room and I was really noticing, right, okay, I'm noticing this feeling of nervousness. Why am I feeling nervous? And it's quite literally because my primal brain Sue thinks that this is about to be the most excruciating pain I'm ever going to experience, and it's literally going to kill me. Like that's what my brain is coming up with, that this is going to be excruciating and we're going to die. So of course, if I'm thinking that, I'm going to feel a little bit nervous. But you know what? That's okay. Because nervousness for me is like this butterflies in the belly and a bit of pressure sort of on my diaphragm. Well, that sensation is completely harmless. I don't need to judge it or criticize it or get nervous about feeling nervous, because that's what so many of us do. We start to feel nervous and they go, oh no, I don't want to feel nervous. So then you get sort of anxious about feeling nervous, and then you're feeling anxious, and then you're feeling anxious about feeling anxious, and the whole thing just escalates. Whereas if you just came right back and just recognised that actually that nerves and that anxiety is just a vibration in your body, it's completely harmless. We can sit with it and experience it, and there's no harm done. That is a phenomenal gift to learn for yourself, a phenomenal skill that we're never taught. We are never taught how to process our emotions. So we always think we need to avoid them. And it's really interesting, leading up to like a holiday or leading up to Christmas, there's that excitement. For some of you, maybe it's anxiety, but let's take the holiday, for example. You're going on holiday, there's that excitement about going on holiday, the build up to the holiday, the thinking about the holiday. When you're actually on holiday, you're on holiday. It's nice, but you're not so excited about the holiday because you're there. And it's the same with the injection. Once you have the injection, it's really no big deal. It was a scratch, no big deal. It's the leading up to it that's either good or bad. And when we start to consider that it's our thoughts that create all of our emotions. So the reason that you're excited leading up to a holiday is because you're thinking, oh, I just need a break. It's gonna be amazing. But if you're leading up to the event thinking it's gonna be horrific and I'm gonna die, guess what's gonna happen? It's going to be horrific. It's going to be terrible. So whatever your situation is around Christmas, maybe you've got excited children. Maybe you're going to have your in-laws coming to stay. Maybe you've got to deal with your sibling that really annoys you most of the year. It's always your thoughts that create those feelings. And I want you to imagine that thought is like a filter. So if you're thinking to yourself, oh, my children are a nightmare, which, by the way, probably feels like a fact. You might not even recognise that as a thought, but your children won't be a nightmare. Your children are probably exactly the same as any other children. The parents are the same as any other parents. They're humans. They get to behave how they want to behave. But if you're saying to yourself, my children are a nightmare, every behaviour or every situation, you are going to be looking at it through that filter of they're a nightmare. So they're never going to be able to get beyond that, because that's your filter, and whatever happens, you're seeing it through that lens. You're seeing it through that filter, and you're going to interpret their behaviour always as a nightmare. But if you were to take that lens off, if you were to take those glasses off and you were to think, I love my children, or I have children, take it to a very neutral, I have children, then you see their behaviour as neutral through a neutral lens. Just try it, just see how different it feels. And the reason this is quite interesting is because a lot of the time we think we are just relating the news, we're just describing the reality of our situation. But it's not until we realise that our thoughts are optional, or someone points out to you that it's a thought, that then you've got control to change it. Whilst it's unconscious and you think it's just fact, you don't have the control of changing it because you don't realise there's anything to change. So to put another way of describing this is, if you imagine, so say you drove a Mondeo, we drive a Mondeo, and we want to buy a van. All of a sudden, say I want a transporter. All of a sudden, I will start to notice all of the transporters around. I will start, like, have you ever noticed this? You'll be driving down the motorway and all of a sudden you start seeing the type of car that you next want to buy, and they're everywhere. Why haven't you noticed them before? Because you weren't looking through that lens. You weren't looking through that thought. And now you have the thought of your new car. Maybe you want a Mercedes convertible. Your brain is thinking about the Mercedes convertible. It will then be able to, it will show you then all the Mercedes convertibles. So if you relate this back to now your children's behaviour, or your parents' behaviour, or your siblings' behaviour, if you're thinking that their behaviour is always a nightmare, that's what your brain is always going to show you. You are creating that evidence for yourself to prove that they're a nightmare. But just shift it. Just try. You might not be able to jump to I love ... I mean, if it's your children, you probably can easily, but you know, the other people in your extended family, maybe not. But just take it to the neutral. Just take it to, I have a brother, I have a sister, I have in-laws, I have parents, I have a husband, I have a wife, I have children. Just take it to that neutral place and then see how you view people's behaviour. Maybe stretch yourself to find an understanding. Why do you think they behave that way? Can you find a compassion, an understanding? And then from that compassion, understanding, now look at their behaviour. How do you see it differently? And then how do you feel about it? Because this is the power that we have as humans. We have got the power to recognise our thinking, to watch our thoughts and notice how those thoughts make us feel. And just because our thoughts make us feel doesn't always mean to say we want to feel happy and positive. There are times when you want to feel sad. There are times when you want to grieve. There are times when you want to be disappointed or angry. But you get to ask yourself, how is that helping me? How is that thought and that emotion helping me? And if you're finding that the build up to an event is stressful, you get to ask yourself, do I want to have stress? Do I want to create this stress? What am I thinking that's making it stressful? And just take it to a neutral place. So leading up to Christmas, this is my advice to you. This is my suggestion and my offering, that you get to make this experience, especially this year, you get to make it whatever you want it to be. And I'm not saying you necessarily want to make it joyous, but don't give your power away thinking you don't have any control. Because it doesn't matter what your circumstance is, you get to decide how you want to think about it, which is going to create a feeling for you. So have a really, really lovely Christmas. And I can't wait to be back with you the first Friday in 2021. Have an amazing new year, and I'll speak to you then. Bye.